Okay, so for slide number 8 says prepare a presentation using a diagram showing justification for every step um, for solving quadratic by the square method. You can use any question you'd like. You can use a question that we've already used before and explain each step. Remember these steps here that have come up previously. Solve by square root. You have to get the variable by itself, moving the weakest bond first, which is your adding. Okay, additive inverse property, um, division, multiplicative inverse property, square root of both sides. Again, square root property of equality. It's the same thing as before, just a different term, square root. And then again, additive inverse property to isolate the variable. So I basically explained every single step for you. You just have to write it down. Okay. Now, if you're looking for a question to use, you can use any of the questions at the end of this video. Give me 1 second and I'll add the questions. Should be okay. So these are your assignments. There's a total of let's see, 14 questions. So for slide number 8, where it says prepare a presentation, I recommend that you use one of these questions. You can pause the video, choose one of these questions. Remember, you're going to square root both sides for question number 1 and 2. For number 3 and 4, you're going to move those 3's first. They're not always going to be equal to 0 in this case. Some of them are already equal to something else. But again, you're going to isolate that variable. Or you can use one of these. These are going to be irrational, so that means that you're not going to get a whole number. You're going to get a number that's going to be remaining inside a square root. Okay, so choose one of these problems for your presentation, either anything 1 through 14. So that was slide 8, presentation. For slide 9, the challenge problem. You don't have to do the challenge problem if you don't want to. Again, it's a challenge problem. Actually, this is from slide 8, the challenge problem down here in the corner. If you would like to do the challenge problem, you may. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Remind me. I will go over them in class on Wednesday when I come back. When I see you guys again. Okay, so here's slide 9. It says, take notes about solving quadratic equations using the square root method as your classmates present. You should be writing notes. So for slide 9, it's based on the presentation that you created in slide 8. So whatever you have on slide 8, on this slide, we will share. Okay, so be ready to share on Wednesday so we can review this. Okay, so let me put a little note here just in case you are not sure. We will share presentations. Oh, I can't spell. Presentations on Wednesday. Okay, and then for slide number 9, that's a challenge problem. So for slide number 9, let's change the color because it's actually kind of difficult to see now that I think about it. Based on the presentations, you will take notes on this slide. Okay, so again, whatever you come up with in slide 8, we're going to share in slide 9, and you can add to whatever you already have or have not yet written. If you cannot create a presentation because you don't know what's going on and you're so lost, because I'm not there to hold your hand through it, which is okay for some of you can do this on your own. Write questions. I don't understand how to find the square root. I don't even know what the square root is. Maybe you were not sure about which one to move first, add, subtract, square root, divide. Ask those kind of questions. Be specific. Write questions specifically with examples. Again, you have your notebook in which you can write all these things down. Again, another reminder, everything needs to be written down somewhere. Okay, so reminder, again, I chose that red, it's hard to see. As a reminder, all work should be in notebook in the Pearson app or written, there's two T's, on paper. No excuses. Okay. All right. Slide number 10. Understand the square root method. So read and discuss. This is basically a summary of items. So these are things that we've already learned, that we've been over. You can recognize when you use the square root method. For this one, ax squared equals b as shown. Here's an example of it. You're going to move the b value over here and square root both sides. This is what we call an irrational. Okay, there are two solutions, but here's something that's very, very different. We don't know exactly where they are. Okay, so yes, we know what the solutions are, but the square root of 15 is a little bit awkward. So it's asking you, can you estimate where they are? Sure, we can. So let's use this answer to answer that question about where they are on the graph. Okay, so let's use this. And it says square root negative 15 and positive square root 15. So question is, let's ask this question. Do I know where the square root of 16 is? And do I know where the square root of negative 16 is? So, okay, so what I wrote down was square root of 9 and square root of 16. Now the reason why I wrote these two numbers down is because I know the square root of 9. The square root of 9 is equal to 3. And this one over here is equal to, well, it's 3 first for the square root and then negative, so it's going to be negative 3. Okay, so I know these two answers. Okay, that's the same as knowing these two answers, which is going to be equal to negative 4. That's this one. And the other one's going to be equal to positive 4. It's equal to 4. Okay, so those are my two answers for square root of negative 16 and square root of 16. Now these two answers, well, since 15 is somewhere in between 3 and 4, I'm guessing the answer should be in between also. So I can make a guess. Again, I don't know exactly what it is, but I can estimate. So it's really, really close to 16, so I'm just going to call it about we'll call it about, let's do this, make this a little more legitimate. So approximately 3.8. Let's guess. Again, farther away from 3, closer to 4, because 15 is a lot closer to 16 than it is to 9. So I can approximate positive 3.8 and negative 3.8. Okay, again, I don't know the exact answer. We're just estimating. Okay, reflect on your work, write a reflection, go ahead and type this out, practice typing on that iPad. You will be using it in math and English all for the next 2 years after this. So get used to it, get good at it, that way you can get the work done a lot quicker. Use the sentence started below if you find it a little bit more helpful. Again, you don't have to. What did you learn? What did you not learn? What do you still have questions about? How does it connect to the previous lesson? So let's add some extra questions here that might guide your thinking, so that way it's easier to answer, not so I can give you more work. Think about this in a positive way. How does this lesson connect to older lessons? Maybe specifically solving equations, or maybe graphing parabolas, parabolas. What does it remind you about square roots? When did you even learn square roots? How is it helpful now? Why do we equal? Why is each equation? Wow, my spelling is bad. Why is each equation equal to 0? And where is 0 represented on the graph? Maybe even what are other names for zeros? Okay, so all these things probably will help you write a little bit more about your reflection on your work. Okay, once you're done, there are 14 questions. There are 8 on this one. Okay, all of these have a rational solution, which means they give you a whole number solution. I checked to make sure that all the numbers are whole numbers. There were some fractional answers, but I took them all out. So complete work on a separate piece of paper. Okay, I didn't make copies. Sorry. But it's okay, a little bit of old school, you know, see the work, write it down neatly, write your name on the top, put your period number, etc. And these are a little bit trickier, okay? If you don't get to the exact answer, that's okay. You should be able to show your work. So, show your work on as much of the problem as possible. Okay. Again, for this first one, square root both sides. That's all you get. That's fine. Here, get rid of that -1 in the front. Divide by -1, divide by -1, square root both sides. If you don't get an answer, that's okay. But at least show me the first few steps. All should be fairly easy. This one down here, subtract 1, divide by 2, divide by 2. Square root. Should get a nice answer, or somewhat nice answer. Okay. Again, don't give yourself a hard time. Here are the links for the YouTube. There's actually going to be one more. Everything will be on the school website, which I'll place on the first screen in case you forgot, because we haven't been there in a while, I think. So our class website is burtonalgebra1.weebly.com. Okay, and all of this will be in the Unit 9. Okay, so click on this side and look for Unit 9. Okay, and all the links will be there, etc.